It is the year 2017. Trump was inaugurated into office. The Patriots won the Super Bowl. We had a solar eclipse, and that was also the year that I dropped out of college. Oh, and also Forza Motorsport 7 released on the Xbox One. Fast forward 6 years, and we have a full-on series reboot. Well, at least that's what they tell us it is. But it's Forza 8, which is what I'm going to call it. Is this a true reboot, or is it just more of the same? Let's talk about it. The years since Forza 7's absence, the world has gotten 2 Gran Turismo games, a Gran Turismo movie, the Assetto Corsa fanboy master race has risen, and there's been like 76 Hot Wheels expansions for Forza Horizon. So to say the least, our standards and tastes for racing games have changed. There's been a literal resurgence for sim racing. There has never been more people playing sim racing games now than there's ever been. Ever. More people are interested in the genre, more people are buying rigs, esports sim racing is only getting bigger, and more importantly, more people know what the basic fundamentals are of a good sim racing game. But this is also a time of AAA games launching poorly. This is the time of decades-old franchises seeing their downfalls due to poor launches, bugs, dumb design decisions, money-hungry studios, and just a general lack of talent and passion for the franchises they've been entrusted with. Halo Infinite, for example, which is another first-party game from Microsoft, it had a very similar formula to Forza. This was supposed to be a reboot of the series, all new features, the end-all be-all Halo. But no, this game suffered from a lackluster single-player experience, poor design choices, missing features, too slow of a drop for content, and is now dying a very slow death. And I don't want this for Forza. Now, I say all this as a preface because although Forza 8, which is what I'm going to call it, has had nearly 7 years to turn in their homework, it still feels like they waited until the night before to get started on it. It feels rushed and unfinished. But even with that being said, I still feel as though this game is kind of a good step in the right direction. Let's talk about it. Forza 8 still stays true to the Forza formula, which is individuality, a built-not-bought style of racing, and community. And then, of course, with a little side of racing, I guess. I also want to say that I have played the Forza Motorsport series extensively, ever since like Forza 2 when I was like 12 years old. I think I still even have old clips of me drifting on Sunset Speedway. All the OG Forza fans remembers what Sunset Speedway is. So to say the least, I would say I know a thing or two about the nuances and the smallest details of the franchise. Because, to be honest, not much has changed with this franchise. I'll also be splitting up the review into a few sections so that you guys can skip around to different sections if you like. Firstly, the game's newest features. Well, the most important ones at least. So Forza 8 has doubled down on the built-not-bought strategy by introducing car levels and car points. Simply put, you don't use credits to purchase upgrades for the cars anymore. Credits are only used to purchase new cars. So this kind of makes the credits almost worthless because the most expensive car in the game is only about 500,000 credits compared to the multiple millions of the previous games. But in order to unlock the upgrades for the cars, you have to continuously use the car and level it up to actually unlock those upgrades. So it's no more buying a car you've never driven and slapping a 1,000 horsepower V10 in it. Nope. You have to actually drive it first. So with every car level increase, you get car points, which is a shared currency between all of your cars, which you then use to purchase said upgrades. Now this is a double-edged sword. So it does introduce some much needed progression in the game, but it also just feels inflated, shoehorned, and it's not very natural or rewarding. It feels like an artificial attempt at trying to pad out more gameplay time, especially since the same upgrades are unlocked in the same exact order for every car. Speaking of upgrades, practically nothing in the upgrades category is new. They're basically the exact same upgrades since Forza 2, just in a different GUI. The same oil and cooling, the same flywheel, the same front and rear anti-roll bars, the exact same as it's always been, which is a huge letdown considering that it's supposed to be a reboot. Not only that, but all the new additions that were added from the Horizon series are completely gone. Spacers are gone, anti-lag turbos are gone, drift tires are gone, which makes zero sense to me because they still have drift suspension in the game, but no drift tires. And upgrading your exhaust doesn't change the sound anymore. They do have a bunch of new wheels though. I mean, that's a plus, even though they're kind of organized kind of stupidly. Accompanying the new car upgrade system are actual tire and fuel management with multiple tire compounds, which is a really good addition. But even with that being said, I feel like in 2023, and if you're releasing a sim racing game, that's kind of standard. But depending on the length of the race, you may have to actually pit to change the tires or get fuel. But even this still doesn't really feel implemented very well. In my testing and in my playtime, the difference between medium and soft tires are pretty negligible at best. I barely saw a difference between my lap times, to be honest with you. With the new tire management system, the track temp actually affects grip. The tracks also rubber in, which just means that as you race, rubber worn from the tires, they stick to the asphalt. They put a little thin rubber layer on top of the track, therefore cars get more grip. Which is typically why most racers start off on soft tires. But again, I couldn't really notice a difference here. The game also introduces a penalty system, which was actually tested in Forza 7, for y'all that remember, and it's got a brand new practicing and qualifying system. So the penalty system actually seems pretty fair for the most part. I haven't really seen it give me any extra penalty time for going off the track when I've already lost time. It does punish people for driving dirty, so it's pretty good in my opinion. The practice and qualifying system is pretty good too. So for the most part, at least. My biggest complaint with this system is in the single player. So in single player, it's just called practice instead of qualifying. It makes you qualify for 3 laps and then you race the actual event, which is typically another 4 laps. So it makes a single campaign event nearly twice as long as it has to be, especially since now you can't adjust the race length anymore. I wish you could just skip the practice from the get-go, at least on the single player events. After your practice laps, you can then pick where you want to start on the grid, so the further back you start, the more money and XP you get. This system is kind of pointless too, because you can literally set the worst lap time ever set on Earth, and you can still pick anywhere on the grid to start. I mean, it's kind of weird, but okay. Also new is the lighting system, which again is a double-edged sword. On the previous Forza titles, the lighting was baked in, which just means that the lighting was pre-calculated. This time around, the lighting is real time, which looks absolutely phenomenal sometimes. Like when cars cast shadows from the headlights, when the paint reflects onto the ground, light sources fill tire smoke, and it's got some pretty good ray tracing. Nighttime racing looks almost photoreal sometimes. But on the other hand, sometimes the actual textures for the cars just look completely flat, even looking last gen quality. So I'm not sure if this is a bug or intentional. Either way, I don't like it. And some of the models just look downright bad. Look at this video. Yes, this is from Forza 8 and not a mobile game. The game is literally still using incorrect car models from the original Forza Motorsport, from the Xbox, a PS2 era car model in 2023. The S15 has been under fire for years for having a completely wrong car model. And I mean, look at it. Okay, moving on. There are a few small additions they've added to the game, like they've got full FOV sliders for each camera angle. There are actually 3 levels of traction control and stability control now, instead of it just being on or off. And they've made a small adjustment to the manual with clutch. So now you can't just power shift through all the gears in a bone stock car without an upgraded clutch. You have to actually let off of the gas and shift properly until you can buy a better clutch and transmission, which I do like. Moving on to the AI. I think overall the AI is good, but only at higher difficulty levels. Still feels like Forza though. At the beginning of every race, the AI still does the same stupid thing where they split into 2 lanes and they drive in the center of the track. So all you have to do is you can literally either go to the inside or outside and you pass like 7 to 9 cars. Almost always, the first 4 cars are the only AI that actually have brains and provide a pretty good race. Even still, you can still catch them braking on straightaways or just driving off the track for no apparent reason. So don't know if that's intentional or not either. They're also still very, very aggressive. It's literally impossible to finish a race without your car having bumps and scratches all over it. This AI is going to beat your ass at every single opportunity. It also still has that same Forza glue when you collide with AI cars, where if they hit the side of you, you're like permanently glued to their door until the universe dies of heat death. Also, the AI can be seen driving cars that aren't even currently in the game, which just means that some of the cars are going to be held behind a paywall even though they're already literally in the game racing field. Overall, I would say Forza feels amazing on controller. Probably the best feeling sim racer ever on controller. You can tell a lot of work and time went into getting this right. Albeit the car still do feel a little bit oversteer, but that's just par for the course with Forza. You can really feel the breaking point of the tires. You can feel various type of rumble strips in the curves. Contact with other cars feel good. So overall, I think racing a controller feels great. Now, wheel on the other hand, wheel isn't terrible. It's just definitely gonna need some dialing in. To be honest, I still haven't found the best wheel settings yet. I was just gonna wait for a better YouTuber to release their settings until I started using my wheel more. The cars feel much more weighty, but at the same time, they feel less precise than say a game like Gran Turismo 7. But they also don't feel as stiff as say Assetto Corsa. It kind of feels like sim racing for dummies. You definitely still need to know about racing to be fast, but it's just more approachable and easier to hop in, which again is a plus for me. Now, one thing I will say about Forza is that it's a lot less punishing than both of these games. Like, there are curbs in Forza that I'll drive over, but I would never, ever, ever touch those curbs on Assetto Corsa because I know it's gonna be a one-way ticket to miss the wall or looking at the wrong direction on the track. That's not to say that none of the curves will upset the car, because they definitely will, just not at the extent of other sim racers. Drifting feels as good as ever on this game too. I haven't gotten used to drifting on the wheel yet, but on a controller, I can see some really fun drift lobbies being ran if we can ever get public lobbies. Speaking of multiplayer lobbies, I don't know about you, but multiplayer is where I'm going to be spending most of my time on this game. Multiplayer sees the biggest changes to the franchise to date. It forgoes the use of hoppers and instead kind of opts for the GT7 approach, where the races all start at a certain time and you're free to practice and qualify until the actual race starts. Forza GT and Forza Touring cars are permanent events where the others are going to rotate in and out. Now, GT racing does bring out some of the most fun and competitive racing there is, but there's still just something fun about building a car from scratch and tuning it up to a race just to see how it fares online against other people. I mean, what's more Forza than that? But before you can join a real multiplayer race, you have to do 3 qualifier races just to see what your safety rating and driver skill rating will be, which is a huge, huge, huge plus in my book. That way, the good racers and rammers can race in their own little worlds and they never even know the others exist. In fact, after I got qualified, all the rammers basically just got Thanos snapped out of existence for me. From the 6 or 7 multiplayer races I have done, they have been incredibly close and fun. You can create a private multiplayer lobby, but you still can't create a custom open lobby, which really sucks, especially considering how heavily the Forza franchise relies on its community. Also, there are literally no drift events or drag events, but for some reason there's drift suspension and drag tires in the game. So we have these upgrades and we don't have any events to use them with. There are no free roam lobbies like there were before, nothing. Please, someone, anyone, tell me why they did this. They've also oddly cut out spectating races. In the modern age of esports and streaming, they have removed the ability to spectate races. Why? So if you come in first place, you just have to watch and imagine how the rest of the race is going while you wait on everyone else to finish. So stupid. Also, none of the game's assists are regulated for online play. So you can literally just join a multiplayer game and turn on automatic steering, braking, and acceleration, and you can just cheese the safety rating system. This needs to be regulated for online play. No one on this planet buys Forza to purposely let the car drive itself. No one. One quick side note on the positive side. I can confirm that we do finally have new and realistic replay cameras. Thank you, Turn 10. Thank you. We have asked for eons to have more realistic looking replay cameras. So thank you again. The ugly. Now I'm gonna try not to hurt Forza's feelings on this part, but man, listen, it's kind of hard not to. So firstly, there's no new telemetry data. That's still exactly the same. The same exact Forza Aero, which at this point is old enough to drink. Still has the same old GT3 cars. Also, did I mention it has half the cars of Forza 7? The devs claim they cut out silly and frivolous cars that aren't needed for a motorsport title, but I don't know about that. I don't know about it. Also, this has less tracks than the previous Forza game. Forza 7 had 32 tracks and this one only has 20. Not only that, but it's missing some pretty important tracks like the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Although they have confirmed this is coming in early 2024, still, doesn't matter. That's a very important track. They should have included that. So to close this all out, I think this is an okay game for two reasons. One, it's okay as long as you're not paying for it because it's free with Game Pass. And two, it's okay if you've never played any previous Forza title. But I still would absolutely not spend any money on this game. For Turn 10 to put so much emphasis on this being a reboot, this is anything but. It would have been better off just being called Forza 8. Yeah, there's a few new features, but it's still just the same old Forza it was 6 years ago. Which wouldn't be a bad thing if they weren't trying to tout it as being a complete series reboot. This game just doesn't feel finished, and I honestly have no idea why this took 6 years to make. I guess because they had to rescan all the tracks because of the quote, new physics engine, which is also BS because it still has a lot of the same artifacts and silliness in this engine as every other motorsport title has had. I guess this is just the new norm for AAA games, man. I'm actually starting to get used to releases like this. I'll leave on this note. Forza has always prided itself in its visuals. Even if the game itself is trash, you knew that it was going to look beautiful and photorealistic. And I can't even say that for this installment. So if the visuals suck and the gameplay sucks, then where does it leave Forza? Forza is a beloved franchise to me. I played this game in my childhood. It was the game that got me into cars, but maybe it's just time to move on. But as I said previously, this isn't just inherently a Forza problem. Halo released like this too. Battlefield 2042 released like that. Battlefield 5 released like that. Overwatch 2 released like this. So maybe this is the end of talented and passionate game developers. I guess for now I'll just mainly be playing the multiplayer on this game, which is actually pretty fun. I've had some pretty good races on multiplayer. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you guys plan on picking this one up? Do you already have it? Are you having fun with it? Just let me know. All right, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Even if you didn't enjoy the video, still like, comment, subscribe. All right, y'all. Peace.